Shri Shira Sviharini Juki Jai. Jai Jai Shiradi. Sub-Vaishnavam Jai Shri Krishna. Continuing with Rajakishori Seva Trust's readings of letter of Bade Shiksha Patra, day 105, letter 41, a collection of all the principles. This 41st letter explains how accomplished and experienced devotees should only involve themselves in mundane activities to the extent to which it benefits their service to the Lord. They should cultivate a very pure attitude towards the Lord in their hearts. They should use only as much wealth for material purposes as is totally necessary for their survival. In this path, of grace, serving the Lord is the method and the reward. In this present birth, service to the Lord using body and wealth is the temporal reward, and serving him with the spiritual body, translator's note, gained through the total absorption of the heart into his love, is the transcendental reward. In order to reach this state, keep good association. Always cultivate the longing for his sight, etc. The Lord himself takes care of his close devotees, and so anxiety is only for fools. This is the reason why I have written these letters of instruction for the servants of Sri Acharyaji. Keeping to these teachings, serve the Lord, and all will be perfected. In this letter, Sri Hariraji further explains all the principles of the path of grace that are to be practiced by every dedicated devotee of the path. Verses 1 and 2. Involve yourself in worldly affairs as much as they are useful in the service of Sri Krishna. However, in every instance, your first and foremost consideration should be the Lord and not just the mundane act. Because the Lord is displeased when his closest devotees become attached to worldly affairs. They become subject to his indifference, and their mundane matters are never successful. Now, Sri Hariraji is clarifying the principles of this path of grace. Accomplished devotees integrate all their worldly activities into their service of the Lord. This is the supreme devotional attitude. Your home, relatives, family, senses, your interaction with them, and everything else should be employed in your service to the Lord. Even your affection for any of these should be on the sake of his service. Your involvement with them should be with the understanding of how they are useful in your service to the Lord. Even your relationship with your spouse should be consummated for the sake of producing a child who is a devoted soul. In his Nirodha Lakshan, or Nirodha, bound by Sri Hari Treatise, Sri Acharyaji has written, have affection for the sake of a child who is a devotee of the Lord. Whatever presents an obstacle to your service should be renounced, and whatever is favourable should be gathered unto you. Anukulasya sankalpaha, pratikulasya varjanam. Wherever you find your mind engaging itself, for example, whatever you hear or see, regard it all as the Lord's playful pastimes. The Lord will be pleased when you think about him exclusively, not about mundane matters. Some might question, the pull of the world is very strong, and without dealing with it, we can't sustain our existence. We can only survive by engaging in worldly matters when we have to, and serving the Lord whenever we can. The Lord is merciful, so even if we only do a little service, he will consider it to be a lot. Therefore, what is the necessity of giving up all worldly activities? The answer to such questions now follows. The Lord's become displeased when his close devotees overly engage in mundane activity, and then he may ignore and become aloof from them. Then mental anxiety arises during the period of service, causing the mind to run here and there unbridled. This leads to the Lord posing obstacles in the service. In his Seva Phalam, Rewards of Seva treatise, Sri Acharyaji has written, the root cause of all this is the desire on a physical plane, a desire to enjoy on a physical plane. Therefore, only when you are able to give up the cravings associated with eating, drinking, bodily enjoyment, and the gratification of the senses will you be able to serve the Lord in an appropriate manner. Whatever you do, the intention must be to serve the Lord thereby. Don't let your mind be fully fixated on the process of selfish physical enjoyment or the fluctuation between joy and grief that arises therefrom, because this will lead to anxiety during your service to the Lord. Consequently, the Lord becomes displeased and allows obstacles to arise in your service, or may even make service impossible. When then you might even abandon the Lord and become totally attached to worldly affairs, none of which can ever be fully successful. All kinds of misfortune may follow. Therefore, never ever become attached to mundane activities and always completely engage your mind in the uninterrupted service of the Lord. Verse 3. You should try to establish a very pure attitude towards the Lord, not one that is founded on deception. The Lord is the inner witness living in the heart of all embodied souls and is fully aware of your heart's deepest sentiment and intention. In all activities related to the Lord, you should keep your heart firm and pure, engaging in them with an unchanging, loving mood. Never do your service to the Lord as a display for others. For example, if you know a Vaishnava will be visiting you on that day, you cleverly dress your Lord, using all sorts of beautiful ornamentation, and you chant your mantras, read your scriptures, and talk very nicely. On the day when no visitor is expected, you do your service in an ordinary way. This is what is meant by deception, and you should never behave like this. As an example of this, once Sri Gosaiji went to Agra and visited a Vaishnava's home. That Vaishnava presented the way he served the Lord at home using the above-mentioned type of deception. Sri Gosaiji saw through the false image he was attempting to project, calling it a mere display. This type of deception is absolutely inappropriate, brings no devotional reward, rather finding it only fruition in temporal fame. Attachment to worldly recognition destroys your devotional attitude. The Lord knows the innermost feelings of everyone's heart, and so mental cunning serves no purpose. In his Vivek Dhairya Ashray, Wisdom, Perseverance and Refuge treatise, Sri Acharyaji has written, the Lord is everywhere, everything belongs to him, he is fully capable and all-knowing. Therefore serve the Lord, bearing this in mind, and you will get the appropriate reward. Never serve the Lord out of greed, for the sake of fame, or using deception. Serve the Lord whilst adhering to the guidelines of the path of grace and never fostering desire for worldly or scriptural success. Verse 4. When you have developed this purity of consciousness, the Lord himself will grant you success in worldly affairs. He removes all obstacles and your life can be perfected. This is the only process by which such success can be attained. Here the question may arise. If we, putting all faith in the Lord, offer him everything we have, then how can we serve him without any worldly interaction or wealth? The answer here given is that Vaishnava devotees should focus one-pointedly on the Lord with the purest love in their heart and always be ready to serve him. Seeing the purity of their love towards him, he allows them success in the worldly and scriptural realms. This has been demonstrated in the story of Sant Das, wherein the Lord arranged for him to support himself nicely with savings of just 20 rupees, and in the story of Padmanabh Das, the Lord perfected his service even though he was only able to offer small bowls of uncooked chickpeas. Here the lesson is always to serve the Lord with the purest consciousness. The next doubt that may arise is what to do when obstructions arise in worldly and scriptural matters. Here the answer is only the Lord himself can remove obstacles and perfect everything. In his Bhakti Vardhani, How to Increase Devotion treatise, Sri Acharyaji has written, it is my opinion that to one who is totally attached to serving the Lord and hearing and speaking of his pastimes, no ruin can come for as long as they live. There is a possibility of obstructions arising for one who lives in isolation, so it is not recommended. It may be said that living as part of a household can also invite many obstacles for what to do. The answer is given is that Sri Krishna, the remover of all sorrows, will certainly protect his devotees in every way. The Lord will most definitely protect his devotee who serves him with the firmest faith, withdrawing their mind from all activities other than serving him and hearing the stories of his pastimes, just as the Lord protected Ambarish from the curse of Durvasa. Therefore, if you fill your heart with the Lord and are always ready to serve him, he will remove all obstructions and perfect your life. This is the only way forward. Otherwise, such divine protection will not occur. Thus you should know that the Lord is your only companion in this world and the next. So on this momentous statement, we pause until tomorrow. This is day 105, letter 41, and up to text 4. We continue tomorrow with text 5. So Aaj ke Anand ki jai ho, sab Vaishnavan ko jai Shri Krishna. Shri Acharya ji, Shri Gosaiji, Shri Hari Raj ji ki jai, jai jai Shri Radhe.